I'm a guy who likes genre definitions to be relatively strict and to sort of keep to where they started. So if you ask me what a roguelike is, my first response is going to be that it is a dungeon crawler with tactical, normally grid-based gameplay, turn-based, with permadeath, and a heavy emphasis on procedural generation and systemic design. So Slay the Spire, often thought of as a roguelike, would not qualify. Likewise, if you asked me what a Metroidvania is, I would tell you that it is one of a series of action adventure platformers with a largely interconnected map in the vein of either Super Metroid, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, or both. Sometimes there are other lineages. Okay, genres don't exist in strict pigeonholes. They exist with focal points, and things can get more or less like that kind of thing. This was something that a friend of mine brought to me when we were talking about the roguelike problem. What do you call Diablo, which is very close and actually exists in the Angband lineage of roguelikes, even though, strictly speaking, by the definition I just gave, and a definition that some people, not a lot of people, but some people would still agree with, it isn't. You look at a game like Rain World, for example, and Rain World isn't really always thought of as a pure Metroidvania. A game like Moon Quest by Ben Porter is not a Metroidvania. It's this weird exploration-y thing that sort of exists in this weird inner space between a Vania structure and almost like a Terraria-esque crafting, but it doesn't really lean far enough into that crafting to be a crafty building game. It's just a platformer with a lot of exploration and a little bit of crafting. That doesn't mean it's not cool or unique. It just means it's not really what I would call a Metroidvania. A lot of people like Dead Cells and really want Dead Cells to be a Metroidvania. I think it's a classic Vania crossed with sort of a roguelike in the same way that I will now sort of accept calling things that I wouldn't have called a roguelike before, sort of action roguelikes or hybrid roguelikes. I guess my point is if you're in the genre wheelhouse and you're near that focal point, you're sort of close enough for horseshoes. And in this case, obviously, close enough for marketing. Even though I would have a stricter definition, I would say, hey, you're not making this thing, but that's kind of okay. If the developers of Rain World had spent all their time worrying about whether Rain World was a Metroidvania, and however much it otherwise has in common with that genre, some people really don't count it. The game might not have been made, and that would be kind of a shame, right? The most immediate context for me on all of this is the Metroidvania Month Game Jam. And the genre umbrella for that jam is very large. So, for contest purposes, my opinion doesn't really matter. When someone asks in that Discord, am I making a Metroidvania? I think at a certain point the answer is maybe you're not. And that's probably okay. This is a big umbrella jam. Just make a cool game.